The 13 on Your Side Weather Deck is sponsored by Montel Construction, your home team.
Well, welcome back and thanks for joining us this morning. I'm meteorologist Amber Twardy. Definitely a gloomy, very misty start to our Sunday, but we've got a lot to talk about here. Now, already this morning, there's quite a bit of fog out. Temperatures are warming up rapidly for much of West Michigan, meeting the dew point or at very least getting closer to it, which is what's giving us a lot of this fog. Now, temperatures will continue to warm up significantly into the afternoon. A lot of us getting closer to about 70 degrees around and south of Grand Rapids. I want to talk about the 13 weather impact alert that we have, though, from 3 to 9. Now, those warm temperatures and also higher dew points, that's going to be fueling some thunderstorms on the way. The chance for severe weather, strong to severe storms is going to be the impact here, especially looking at gusty winds, possibly damaging winds, and hail is also a concern, although an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. You'll need to make sure that you are staying weather aware. You have multiple ways to get weather information. You're really keeping on top of the forecast and preparing for the potential for severe weather during that 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. time frame. Here's what we're seeing for satellite and radar. A couple of storms that are making their way across Lake Michigan. That will continue to track in our direction, possibly bringing a couple of storms mainly to the north of Grand Rapids just a little bit later on this morning. For the most part, though, I'm not too concerned about these. Looks like these are going to be staying non-severe. We're just not seeing the ingredients come together, at least for late morning, early afternoon storms. Later on, that's when we start to see a greater threat. Now, here's what we're seeing. We continue to watch some of these storms that have moved across Wisconsin, continuing to make their way across Lake Michigan as well. Our friends further north, though, northern Michigan has been dealing with an ice storm during the overnight hours and even still continuing into this morning. A very significant ice storm, too. At this point, West Michigan still relatively in the clear, a couple of still showers, but we will be able to see things really picking up just a little bit later on. So here's what we're seeing. A couple of thunderstorms possible yet this morning through really north of us. We won't necessarily be seeing too many impacts out of that. This is the time frame that we're going to be looking at. Into the afternoon, line of storms starting to move in close to about 4 p.m., continuing to make their way across West Michigan. 5 p.m., it's starting to move pretty quickly. This line is going to be bringing gusty winds especially, but then also that potential for hail, and tornadoes cannot be ruled out. The severe weather threat clears the area by about 9 p.m., and then we're much quieter during the overnight hours. Let's talk, though, a little bit more about where we're anticipating the greatest threat. That's largely going to be closer to Kalamazoo. Looking at southern Michigan in general, where that orange is, this just got upgraded a little bit earlier on this morning and enhanced or 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Still having medium concern when we're talking especially about gusty winds, a slightly lower but still non-zero and significant enough to mention type of concern for hail. So that's also going to be a possibility, maybe even large hail. Tornadoes also cannot be ruled out in this case either. I'm still thinking that gusty winds is going to be our main concern, but tornadoes still a possibility. Would be pretty isolated, likely to be on the lower end of things, the weaker end of things at very least, but we still could end up seeing that into this afternoon and evening, so something that we want you to be prepared for. Temperatures near the lakeshore today, huge variation from north to south, looking at the 50s in Leadington, but then looking at the mid to upper 60s getting further south. Northern zone sitting right around the 60-degree mark for today, and our southern zone much warmer than that, right around 70 degrees. This is where we're going to be seeing the greatest risk for severe weather, the warm air, the also humid air that's going to be giving us more instability. Your 13 on Your Side 7-day forecast. 13 weather impact alert in place for today. That's going to be because of those storms rolling in this afternoon and evening. Once that cold front passes through, colder and also quieter the next couple of days, but I've got my eye on another system during the middle of the upcoming work week.